So what does it actually cost to go on a truck camping trip? And how much money should you expect to spend on all the gear that you need to go on said truck camping trip? So in this video, we're going to crunch the numbers. We're going to find out what the real cost is based on the last couple of trips I went on, and we're going to do a cost breakdown so that you can come up with a budget of how much money you actually need to spend on truck camping. So let me start by saying that everybody's reasoning for wanting to go truck camping is going to be a lot different. Some people are going to want to go hiking or sightseeing or visiting, whatever. There's all kinds of stuff and reasons why you would want to go truck camping. For me, the reason I go truck camping is I want to take my boat and go fishing in places that are not local to me. And hotels and Airbnbs are really, really expensive these days, so truck camping is a very cheap alternative. Let's take a look at my last two truck camping trips and see what it actually cost me to go on them. So in early October of this year, I took a trip from where I live here in Georgia down to Pensacola, Florida. I stayed for 2 days doing some inshore saltwater fishing. Now, getting there and back was by far the most expensive part of the trip. It's about 361 miles from where I live to where I wanted to go fish and where I was staying at in Pensacola. About a 5-hour and 45-minute drive. So it's a perfect distance for a nice little fishing trip for me to leave early from work on Friday, drive down, get to fish Friday afternoon, had all day Saturday to fish a little bit Sunday morning, and drive back Sunday afternoon and still be home before dark. And this is going to vary depending on what kind of vehicle you drive. I have an older 2003 Ram 1500 with a 5.7 liter V8. When I'm towing this boat, I get like -2 miles to the gallon. I don't think that the early 2000 model Hemi motors were designed with fuel efficiency in mind. Now, I drove the speed limit the entire way down there because I didn't want to be burning any more gas than I had to, and I wasn't in a rush to get there. But in total, to get there and back, my gas cost was $257.93. Now, the campsite that I picked out was from a website called Hip Camp. It's basically like Airbnb for campsites, and people let you camp in their yards and in their fields and in the woods behind their house. Kind of got to do some shopping around on Hip Camp to see if it's cheaper than staying at like a state park or like a designated campground. But for me, it was the cheapest that I could find, and it was $10 per night. So I spent a grand total of $20 for 2 nights to stay in Pensacola, which I actually really liked, not only because it was cheap, but it was private. I didn't have to worry about any other people in a campground bothering me. I had access to a water hose, which made life easy. And it was only about 15 minutes from the nearest town, so going out to eat and buying bait and tackle and stuff like that, really not that big of a deal. But the best part was it was only about 20 minutes from each one of the boat ramps that I wanted to go to, so I could go fishing in Pensacola for that weekend. Now, I'm a Georgia resident, so I had to buy an out-of-state fishing license to go to Florida. I went ahead and bought the year-long license because I plan on doing this more than once. The 7-day license was like 30 or 40 bucks, and it was $80 for the entire year. So I went ahead and splurged and spent the 80 bucks for the entire year so I can fish in Florida whenever I want to. So that just leaves us with food costs, and it really wasn't that bad. I had a friend with me, and we did cook at the campsite for one meal, and that totaled out to $19.76 for us to have some boudin and bratwurst. Had to buy some charcoal for the grill and just a few other little odds and ends. So less than 20 bucks for both of us to eat one meal. I could probably slash that in half, but I'm just going to go ahead and include it. $19.76 for that entire meal. The rest of the time, I either ate gas station roller food or went out to eat. We did go out to eat Friday night, and all the rest of the time that I was there, we either ate fast food or something from a gas station. All of the food for that entire 3-day weekend, driving down there while I was there and driving back, totaled up to $87.06, which brings my grand total for that entire Pensacola fishing trip that weekend to $444.99, which for a 3-day fishing trip in Florida is not bad, considering that the cheapest Airbnb that I could find in that area was $120 a night. So by the time you pay taxes and fees, it would have cost me an additional $250+ to stay in Pensacola on top of the $444 or $445 that I spent just getting down there and eating and getting my fishing license. If you like free stuff, we're giving away a free boat. It's actually a really nice inflatable boat, a 16-foot Fish Skiff 16 from Sea Eagle. Yes, we are giving one away. No purchase is necessary, but if you want to get in on the sweepstakes and increase your chances of winning, you can head on over to tbnation.net. Every purchase that you make equals entry, so every dollar is an entry. And we have some special items that get even more entries. We have all the official contest rules and information over there if you'd like to check it out, but don't pass up the opportunity for a free boat. That thing's not cheap, and buying something as simple as a sticker, a hat, or a t-shirt can get you 10, 15, 20, even 30 entries into the sweepstakes and get you one step closer to get yourself a free boat. So the Pensacola trip was early October. This past weekend, it's the third weekend in October, I took another inshore fishing trip down to Brunswick, Georgia, specifically Blythe Island Regional Park. And I did kind of the same schedule. Left early from work on Friday, stayed Friday night, fished all day Saturday, stayed Saturday night, fished a little bit Sunday morning, drove home and was home before dark. Now, from where I'm at in Georgia to Brunswick, Georgia was only 296 miles. The big difference was I didn't tow my boat down there this time. I took a plastic micro skiff and put it in the bed of my truck, and I fished on that most of the weekend. And that particular boat is the Crestcraft micro skiff from Crescent Kayaks, which we will have a review video coming up very shortly. So not having to tow the boat down there saved me a ton on gas. My round trip gas cost was only $140.08 for that entire weekend. That was a lot less than me dragging the boat all the way to Pensacola, and it was only about an hour shorter of a drive. Now, I stayed at the regional park campground there, and it was $20 a night per campsite. Well, luckily I went down there with a friend who was bringing his boat, and we were able to split a campsite. So my cost was only $10 a night, which brings me to a grand total of $20 for the entire weekend to stay there. Now, I did have to deal with all of the kids that were on fall break and people running around at the campground was pretty packed. So I didn't like it as much as I liked the hip camp place that I found in Pensacola, but for $20 to stay for the weekend and having access to water and a shower and everything else, it was kind of nice. Now, this particular trip, we ate out every single meal, either fast food or sit down restaurant. We didn't cook at all, but surprisingly, I spent about the same amount of money. My food total for the entire weekend was $86.84. Yeah, I could have ate McDonald's value meal the entire weekend and gas station roller food. Probably saved a little bit of money, but fat boy likes to eat, so I went and splurged a little. But what I find surprising is we actually ate one meal in Pensacola where we cooked at the campsite and then ate out the rest of the time. My total was about $87 there. I spent almost $1 less just eating out the entire time and not cooking at the campsite at all. A little over $86 for food for the entire weekend, which brings my grand total for my Brunswick fishing trip to $246.92. I did do a little bit of research that weekend before I left to see what I could find as far as Airbnbs. There were none anywhere close to where I was staying. They were all 30 to 45 minutes away. I mean, the cheapest one I could find was $100 a night. So by truck camping, I essentially saved myself about $200. But my biggest savings came from not towing the boat down there because my truck apparently really loves to drink gas. So now you have a realistic expectation of what I actually spend when I go on a camping trip. It's not crazy expensive, but it does cost some money. There are definitely ways to save money and do it on a budget, but gas is what it is. You can't really do anything about it. The further you travel, the more you're going to spend on gas. You can save 20 or 30 bucks a weekend by doing like dispersed camping or stealth camping if you want to do that, but I like having access to water and a bathroom and all that other stuff. So I'll take a $20 campsite over having to spend $200 or $300 on a Airbnb or a hotel any day.
Now, if you want to know what the actual cost of all the gear and the toys and all the fun stuff is for getting into truck camping, I have a video on the channel that I'll link to above that goes over everything you need to know and everything you need to consider buying before you get into truck camping. I show you my complete setup and all the gear that I use. I tell you what I spent on it, and I give you some budget options that'll allow you to get into it in a very minimalistic style for as little as like $350 up to a more elaborate budget, which about $1,100 to $1,200. It's a very in-depth video. It goes over a lot of information, and I highly recommend you check it out if you are new to truck camping, you haven't bought anything yet, or you're just getting into it and you're thinking about expanding your selection of gear.
So if you like the truck camping fishing trip adventure series that we're working on right now, let us know down in the comments section and tell us what you want to see in the future. So I have more truck camping trips coming up soon, and I will be glad to share any information that you guys and gals want to hear about.